Good day. Turn that down a little bit. Right. Da, 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 So discussing Gurdjieff. Let me just get the Yo, TW, how's it going? Let's see how far behind you are. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, you're better off just listening, to be honest, mate. YouTube. I'm trying really hard not to let it make me as angry as it potentially could make me. Like, I mean, I could. What I want to do, which is ridiculous, because it's not gonna hurt anybody but myself. But what I want to do is put a hammer into the screen of my computer and just smash YouTube to pieces. I wish I could do that. If I could destroy YouTube right now, that's what I'd do. If I had access to the server room right now and I had a fucking sledgehammer, that's how I feel about YouTube right now. And yeah, I don't even care about how much that would piss everybody off. If I were to go in and destroy YouTube by smashing up all their servers right now, I don't care. I don't care what anybody says or thinks or anything. I don't care. We can all go to Rumble and Odyssey. That's where we should all be going. There's Odyssey and Rumble. At the moment, Odyssey. Because Odyssey are talking about bringing some new things in and talking about memberships and stuff, and they're free. Odyssey's free. Rumble, you got to pay to be able to stream, to be able to live stream. You have to pay, which is disgusting, despicable, absolutely despicable. They're making a mint. They're making an absolute mint just from their various means. Moving swiftly onwards to talk about Gurdjieff. That book was exceptional, man. It was. I was gripped by it. It felt like a historical account of the late 1800s, early 1900s. There was commentary, social commentary that, I mean, none of us bothered to sit here and think about things too much, do we? When somebody describes it, We can sit here and try to imagine, but when you have a first hand in, you know, a first person experience recounted, obviously from memory, but it doesn't matter. This man lived through it. This man lived through the First World War. And what we got there was historical narrative about what was happening. I didn't even know about the White Army, and like the Bolsheviks, the White Army, the Cossacks, the Green Army, all these different factions. I don't know too much about the beginning of the First World War. All I know is that I forget what his first name was, but his surname was Schiff. Schiff. He was a lawyer. He had something to do with law, I think. And Schiff helped finance the railways that basically transported the Bolsheviks around. He had his hand investing in the start of the First World War. It wouldn't have happened without his help. So, God, the lag on this is incredible. It's got to be about 2 minutes or something. Oh, go on, buffer away, YouTube. Go on, buffer away when you absolutely don't need to, because you're getting 3,300 kbs, whatever kbs means. What he's talked about, basically, he's talking about manifestations, but he talks about manifestations of your individuality and your personality, and so he's talking about, obviously he's talking about how people react, how their inner being manifests to other people. And he's got such an amazing vocabulary. I mean, obviously this was translated, but the way that he's written it, the amount of the words that he uses to basically say, I was just trying to keep it together. I need to stop looking at my phone, because every time I look at my phone and see that fucking wheel spinning, I want to launch my phone at the wall. How's that going to help? How's launching my phone at the wall going to help? But do you know what? That's a manifestation of my anger. And I wonder how many people out there have absolutely no ability to restrain themselves. Do you know, like, nearly all of my ex-girlfriends, I think without exception, my ex-girlfriends, never in a relationship with me, although maybe one did, but I would hear about how many times they'd thrown their phone at the wall in an argument, getting frustrated and thrown their phone at the wall. I've never quite understood the abject stupidity of anyone that would lose it to such a point that they destroy their own property in anger. I think that's it shows a massive loss of control, inability to restrain yourself. Very impulsive. But he wasn't just talking about physical manifestations of being or temper, temperament, or he was talking about actual manifestations. He was talking about setting his mind to something and achieving that thing. And I've got such admiration for a man who would be able to, every new year, who would be able to change himself and and focus on and set about changing different things, or like what he said about at the beginning of on the 13th of January, which used to be New Year, certainly in well, I mean, he was in America at the time when he was writing it. He was actually in America. So was he talking about it used to be New Year on the 13th of January in America, or is it just in the in the Asiatics? I love all the old names as well. Like, we don't use those names anymore. There isn't anywhere like the Trans-Caspian and the Trans-Caucasian and the, I mean, maybe they do. It's just because I've never been there. I've never been anywhere near there. So maybe they do. But the only names like that I recognise were obviously Moscow and Georgia. I think, and Turkey, obviously. But there are a lot of country names, and those countries don't seem to exist anymore, as far as I'm aware. They do, but they're not. They don't have the same name. They have a different name. And this all started before the First World War, came to conclusion after the end of the First World War. So it was really evident to me. I mean, it's weird. It's like, with what's going on now, with everything, history's repeating itself. It seems like I can see, because we've seen it happen. Like, if I'd read that book 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to connect with it. With the story, when he was talking about the start of the First World War and what was going on, and the apparent lawlessness that was passing itself off as lawful. But these people getting all their stuff taken because by these armies coming and just stripping them of everything, saying basically it's for the war. It's to finance the war. I think one of the things that we as Westerners now can appreciate, certainly, that's the other thing as well. He started the truth seekers, the seekers of truth. That group. It's really weird, because in a way, I felt like, I don't know, almost like we are the reincarnations of those men. That maybe their consciousness has been reborn or rediscovered, or, you know, because I feel really strongly like I know this man. Like, when I first read the lecture on by the brother and I think it's brother and sister who were talking about Gurdjieff's fourth way. When I was reading the fourth way, I felt like it was familiar. It felt really, really familiar to me. And reading this, the man feels even more familiar to me. Gurdjieff feels even more familiar to me. He's from we didn't even speak the same language. He's from a completely different part of the world. You know, he's was he Russian? I think he was Russian. He certainly spent a lot of time in Russia, and he's just familiar. He's just really, really familiar to me. And everything he says makes so much sense to me. I'm definitely going to get his first book. This is the second in his series of 3 books. This is the second of the series. I'm going to get the first in the series, which is a conversation between Beelzebub